everybody, it is Teacher Andrew back with you today, and today I want to go into the interesting topic of can we move gradually to 24-hour bookings. So that's what I want to go into today, but before I get into any of that, I want to just say it's been a busy week. So the reason for this video is maybe twofold. One, I've got some good information I think to share, and two, we've got classes tonight, and if I lay down, I'm going to go to sleep and we aren't going to get back up to the morning. So this has helped me keep awake at the same time. We're burning the candle at both ends these days and things are going well, but it's been a grind. Today, have you ever felt like you've been just run over by a bus as a teacher? Well, today is one of those days for me, but we're soldiering on and things are going well, so it's to be thankful. So let's cut into it. Today, I wanted to talk to just followers in general, and does that have any impact in the decision? The test run, prep, seasonal, and squeezing more out of the orange. You gotta love some super glue and a magnet. So let's get into the first topic, which is followers. And so we hear a lot about, followers matter, they don't matter, and, it probably lies somewhere in the middle. So with this decision and followers, there isn't a direct correlation between the two. Now, if you've got like 2,000 followers, then of course you need to make that decision and jump. But if you're running around like 50 to like 300, well, the decision could be a little bit tougher because there's not always the direct correlation that just because you have a lot of followers that you're going to have a lot of people pick up on you on 24-hour notice. So I guess that's what I'm saying is more so look at the capacity in your schedule. That would be my first point. Look at the capacity in your schedule. Are you mostly booked? Are you mostly booked during those key time slots between, let's say, the 6 Beijing time to 9 Beijing time? Are you mostly booked in those time periods and the night times that you want to work? Are you pretty much fully booked there? That's really what I would focus in on rather than the followers. Me personally, I've got a phone that I can't even download the darn app on. My phone is that bad that it won't support the app, so I don't have any clue how many followers I have. And I guess I don't care to a certain point because I think I can judge by my schedule just where the tipping point is and how things are coming along. And I'll talk to just my next few points on how I'm using that information and what information I'm getting. So for me, followers, I have no crystal clue. I have no idea how many I have. I could have 5, I could have 100. I have no idea. Probably somewhere in between. So, and I don't care to a certain extent because I think I can find this information out elsewhere for that. So that's really what I'll get into on followers. Yes, use it, but I don't know. I'm not using mine and I'm making some decisions and I think I'm making some good decisions. So we'll get into more on this. So followers, yes or no, it's up to you. Next I'll get into is the test run. And I want to get into a few different topics on this. So let's bring up the trusty whiteboard. And I want to talk to test run a few different areas. So when we're looking to do this, my key point that I'll say about this one is we don't want to just dive into the deep end. We want to gradually move that direction. There's no point of just going straight into the deep end without seeing if we can swim. We need to know, can we swim first and take those little doggy paddle type strokes before we get into the deep end. So the first thing that I'd want to test is I want to see, from my schedule anyways, my times that are always getting booked, and I'm sure the same for yours as well, is that 8 to 9, so that 8 and 8:30 time slot, which is Beijing time. So seeing how that gets booked. And if that's always booked every week, what I'm going to start trying to do here is I'm going to start leaving some holes. So just to test it out a little bit. So I'll leave a few holes during the week, so when the frenzy comes they won't be able to take those, and I won't take any of the priority bookings. I'll just leave them. So maybe I'll start with a couple holes just to try it out and see how that goes, to see if I open them 24 hours before they come up, will they get booked? So I think I'm going to try that here in the next week or so, because mine are always getting booked, and we know that that's really the crunch time when a lot of parents want the classes. So let's leave maybe some cheese holes in there just to see, and maybe if you even just try with one, if you're thinking just to take a little tiptoe into it a little bit, just leave one just to see what happens for that week. And if it doesn't get booked, well, so be it. You've got a half an hour off or whatever. But it's one of those things where I think we need to do a little trial and error, because we can't just go full-fledged into it. We need to carefully move. And I'm only I think 61 days in here, and I'm already starting to tiptoe into this a little bit. I'm at near full capacity right now, so I'm starting to just dabble into it a little bit. So that's the first thing, the 8 and 8:30 slots. The evenings. So what I like doing here now that I'm doing currently is, for the next little bit, I'm only putting out in my schedule like 4 or 5 evening slots, and then if I see them get booked, I will say, well, I will go for another half an hour if someone's willing to pay me an extra $2 American. No problem, I will do that. So that's what I'm doing, is then if I see that maybe my first 3 or 4 slots are getting booked, I'll add another one within the 24 hours and just see if that will get eaten up or not. And if it doesn't, well, I wasn't planning to work it anyways, but if it does, it then gives me a little more confirmation that, okay, there's a little bit of demand here. So that's something to trial out. So just see if that works for you anyways, and because you can't lose. I mean, you might have to stay up for an extra half an hour, but if you're making a little extra money, well, so be it. The other thing I like to do, or I'm starting to do as well, is throw some cheese holes into the schedule a little bit too. So not just the 8 and 8:30, but what if you're booked, like for me, and again, I'm the 12-hour difference, so I'm exactly 12 hours, so it works out easy for me to explain in terms of the time frame. But that 6 to 9 time frame, I'm booking out pretty nicely consistently. So what happens if I just sort of put some cheese holes in there a little bit and see whether it'll get booked or not during those time periods? Remember that scarcity is your friend. So if a parent sees in a schedule, oh, there's only one time slot left for this individual, they're more likely to pick that than if you've got 3 or 4 open. So it might be a strategy too, just to have a cheese hole in there from time to time, just to see what happens. And that's outside of that 8 to 8:30 time slot. Look at some of the off-peak just to test it a little bit. Now, we really want to be careful on this one, because those time slots are not as sought after, so the likelihood is that you're not going to get booked for it. But it's something maybe we move to here in the next little bit, just to start cheese holing a little bit outside of the peak time slots. The last thing is the easy one. So the cancellations that inevitably come at like 25 hours before the class, I'm starting to half like those at this point, because that's a no-risk way for me to see, can I get this bad boy filled? So, and I'm seeing some uptick in terms of getting it filled. So, especially if it's coming, those cancellations in some of those peak time periods, I'm saying, hey, great, I might make an extra $2 for this half an hour class because you canceled, parent. Thank you very much, and I get to test my 24-hour booking system at the same time. So those cancellations, again, if it's a cancellation that's happening at like 5 in the morning, well, you're not going to get that guy back, probably. But if it's happening in that 7 to 9 time period, Beijing time, again, I'm on the fence now of getting those filled or not getting them filled, but it's a really good test run for me, a no-risk test run, because I didn't do it. The parent canceled it, and I'm just going to see if it works. So really keep all of those in mind. That's what I'm looking at right now, and I'm really dabbling, especially in the evening ones, of adding some extra ones in there. Or maybe if I want to teach 2 hours for that night, I'll only put out an hour and a half. I'll see if that gets booked, and then I'll add another one 24 hours out and see if that can get booked. So that's really what I'm looking at for that part. Sort of long-winded on that one. Remember that number 3, I'll talk to a couple points on this. Remember that prep time is going to be minimalized, okay? Because you only have 24 hours. So when you're new at this, like me, only a little over a couple months in, you need to remember that you don't have very much time to prep, and we're so reliant on our 5 apples. If we start screwing things up here because we don't have much prep time, then it's not worth the risk to even start with. So just keep that in mind, that if you're going to dabble in this, you need to make sure that you're doing just as well on those 24-hour bookings, because we can't have getting an extra $2 for the session, but at the same time we're getting bad Apple reviews. Like we're going backwards by doing that. So just keep that in mind. And another little side note that I'll mention too, sort of off topic, but I don't believe the parents are charged any more for those short-term bookings, those 24-hour bookings. I've heard that from a source. I don't know if it's gospel or not, but I think that probably makes the most sense, that they're not charged any extra. So just keep that in mind, that you're not gouging the parents. You're basically saying, I'm being sought after. The parents aren't getting charged anymore. I deserve a little bit more from the company because I'm getting the following that's there. So it's basically almost an incentive for you to do a good job at the same time, because you're getting confirmation that you're being sought after. So that's the way I'm sort of looking at it. I don't want to take from my regulars either, so I don't want to just kick away all my regulars at the same time. I want to keep them, so that's why I'm sort of dabbling into this a little bit, just to see where things go for that part. So sort of off topic, but on topic at the same time. The next thing I'll go into is on seasonality. Okay, so remember this is not maybe the best time to try this. Now, at the same time, I am trying it now just to see how things go in a very, very light side of things. But remember, Chinese New Year is coming up. So to try this now and see, well, is this going to work or not, might not be the best idea, because seasonality is dropping the bookings. And if we start going out into the deep end here and putting holes in our schedule and doing the things that I'm telling you to do, we might not get booked at all, and we're taking away from our income. So just keep that in mind. This might not be the best time to be doing this. The best time to be doing this is probably the summer, that's when the bookings are really at the peak, in terms of most teachers tend to do better in the summers because the kids are off and they're getting sort of the double booked in the morning and after, or the morning and evenings. So just keep that in mind, that this may not be the best time to be doing this, and we can't just always go one direction. I think if you're on the fence like me, you need to sort of see the bookings, the trend in the bookings, and judge accordingly, just to try and do it, because we've heard many times that some months are good, some months aren't. So we really need to be careful on the seasonality. So that's all I'll say on the seasonality for the time being. The last one, and again, squeezing the orange. So I'm looking to try and get a few extra bucks out of here on a very, very light basis. So what I mean by that is, let's just dabble in it. I've heard people just saying make the jump or whatever. Like, this shouldn't be a jump. This should be a gradual move in a logical way to see, can we make a little bit extra along the way. I think it will become very evident if we keep moving gradually and we see confirmation that it's working. Then it's a lot easier. If you're going to make that jump, it's a lot easier to make that jump when you're already pretty much in the deep end, rather than if you've got floaties on and you're trying to just jump in the deep end. Like, that makes absolutely no sense. And that's sort of the logic I've heard from some people saying, well, if you have 200 followers or whatever, I don't know. To me, I like moving this very, very slowly and seeing what's going to happen, and really being able to pivot if we need to pivot. So if bookings are down, well, we need to pivot the other way. If bookings are up, well, we pivot a little bit more. So really being flexible, I think, is the key for this if you're making that decision, or if you're looking to dabble into this a little bit. So that's really what I want to get into. This is something that, again, you need to make sure that you're being smart about, because you don't want to be taking some money out of your own pocket by doing it when you're not really ready to at the same time. So that's all I have to say for today. Good luck with your teaching. We're getting into another frenzy coming up here soon, and a good night's sleep. I'm looking forward to that tonight. Recharge. We need to recharge. Make sure you do take the time to recharge. You can drive yourself crazy in this job by just constantly working, and especially when you're just starting. And that's what I'm finding out right now, is that you get to a point where things are great and you just keep on pushing, you keep on pushing. Remember to recharge, give yourself some time, give yourself some of those holes. And that's why I really like my strategy right now, is I am giving myself a couple of holes. And I'm saying, well, if I don't get that class, so be it. If I get that class and make an extra couple $100, then great. I love teaching that. So that's really why I'm dabbling a little bit too, is I don't mind taking these breaks because I think I need it. It's been a busy couple of months. It's been a stressful couple of months trying to get this up and going, and let's just keep moving in the right direction. So best of luck in your teaching and good luck in the frenzy tomorrow. Bye-bye.